So, welcome again, everyone, to Team Elevate's Cutter Class Extravaganza. So basically, the premise of tonight is to show you how the cutter works. But you'll get to see us doing lots of other things on the Thermomix at the same time. So without further ado, I'm going to mute myself and pop you over to Anne, and she's going to kick us off with an apple crumble that she has put together herself. So take it away, Anne.
Thanks, Sarah. I have started already, so I've done a little bit of prepping, but it starts with a shaft that sits in over your blade, like that. Then you put the main body in, and it goes around, your arms will go around it, and then you've got a collection bowl and a chute and a pusher. So what I'm going to do is slice thickly a kilo of apples, which I have peeled, cored, and quartered. So this doesn't take long. I've done a few already, but I have also, on my screen, I have swiped across and I've gone to the modes, and I'm going to go to slicer and close that information, and then I'm going to thick slice. So I'm sorry you can't see my screen, but it is seriously so easy, just like a food processor basically. So turn it on and start pushing it in. So managed to get water everywhere because I was having those apples sit. Oh. Kilo of apples fills the bowl. So that's good to know. Whoops-a-daisy. I'm coming undressed here. I've got so many clothes on. I'll just do my apron up. Now, your bowl is clean because it collects in the cutter. So I had this recipe on the recipe community, and I put it up today. When I was going through it, it needed a few adjustments. So I quickly went on and did those adjustments. It, however, hasn't come through to my machine yet. So hopefully in the morning, my adjustments that I've made to this recipe will be correct. So next thing is, in your bowl, you're going to weigh in the ingredients for the crumble. It's so simple. So I've got, if I can bring up my scale, I've got 180 grams of flour. And then I've got 120 grams of butter. Now this can be straight from the fridge or it can be softened. It doesn't really matter. And then I've got some brown sugar, which I've made myself, just some molasses and some raw sugar. So 150 grams of brown sugar, a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of baking powder in, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. At this stage, if you want to add allspice or cloves or anything, you can do that. You do you. So this doesn't take long to mix, and it might help if I've got a lid. Good stuff. So we just do this really quickly for 10 seconds on speed 4.
Love to know if anyone's made a version of a crumble before, or if you like apple pie, what do you like to have with your apple pie? 50-second vanilla ice cream would definitely be the favourite thing here.
So it's mixed it. This is really embarrassing. I haven't got the rolled oats out. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second.
So would love to see in the chat what sort of dishes that you would be making. Obviously, a crumble is a fantastic thing to have pre-made and in your freezer. So you can just pop it into a Snaplock bag or a Tupperware or anything like that. So all you literally need to do when you want to have something quick and easy for dessert is slice up your fruit, whip your crumble out of the freezer, pop it on the top, and then whiz it straight into the oven. So any sort of dish like this is a super easy one to pop on.
100 grams of rolled oats, and then we mix it on reverse. So just for 10 seconds.
In the winter magazine too, there was the rhubarb crumble. So anyone that's got rhubarb growing in their garage, it's a garage, in their garden even, hopefully, try out the rhubarb crumble from the winter magazine.
Have you got something growing in your garage, Jane?
No, mine's a bit like Sarah's. It's got cars and lots of kids' clothes. And Kazza said she loves the strawberry and pear crumble, as well as Anne has said that she likes to do the crumble with the pear and blueberry from Cookie Dough too. So some great suggestions.
So I don't know how well you can see that, but it's done. So we've done the apples, we've done the crumble. My little recipe, if I just show you, I'm going to pop it in this tin.
Do you grease those tins, Anne, or you've just got them plain?
Just plain, absolutely plain. And I sprinkle over a tablespoon of flour and half a teaspoon of cinnamon into the apple. Now, some people add water, some, and we've talked about the other additives. I don't add any water to it. I find that it's enough. I just sprinkle this over the mix, and with my hands, let's give it a slight mix. It doesn't have to be mixed too much at all. And what that flour does is if the apples are particularly juicy, it will then just thicken that. So what I do when I load it in is I load it so that there's a mound. So, because when the apples cook, they shrink down. So kind of overload it a bit, and then put the crumble on top, bake it for 35 to 40 minutes for a big one. This one will probably only take 25 minutes, and at 180, it's done. Quickest dessert in the planet, I reckon, for winter anyway. It's not as quick as fruity dream, but it's a really good winter one. So that's it for me. I'm going to throw the crumble on top and bake it. Thanks, Sarah.
No worries at all. And so how easy is that to whack a dessert into the oven? And clearly Anne is prepping once, cooking once, and plans to eat multiple times by popping them in those to-go containers. So that's a pretty good handy gift idea too. Now, if someone's just not well, there's a lot of people under the weather at the minute. Imagine having that dropped to your front door. You'd have to be pretty happy with that. So we're going to move across to Lyndall now, and she's going to start us off with some delicious Rosties.
Fantastic. Welcome, everyone. I love the cutter, actually, and it's something that I use a lot. One of the things I use it for is the Rosties. So I made these for tea tonight. I just wanted a super quick tea. I'm not a big fan of sausages, but my kids love them. So I just thought I'm just going to do these Rosties with some sausages. The thing I like about them is you can put whatever veggies really in it. Obviously, with watery ones, a bit like with zucchini, that have more moisture, you just have to make sure you pat it out a bit. But this, I'm just going to change it up. So you'll get this sent out to you. Is that right, Sarah? Yep, fantastic. So it's the root vegetable Rosties. So we've preheated the oven. Now I'm going to cook mine in the oven tonight, but tonight, when I did it for tea for the kids, I just used a flat sandwich press. So you can do whatever, depending on time. I just need something really quick because we have after school activities. So grease the tray. Now we just have to weigh, use the scales, but I've already weighed things out. Now I weighed it out earlier because I was saving time, and I've actually just popped it in my back seal container, which you can get these from the mix shop. Now these are great for food prep because you can prep the food then you can airlock it and it keeps everything quite good. I'm just thinking, I'm very tired. That's and then you can get it out and there's no brownness and things like that. So they keep lots of food, strawberries, spinach, I use beans and things like that. Anne's got, what have you got, Anne? So you're on
You
mute,
can even
Anne.
do, you can do
It's
Anne's
just
crumble
so
in the vacuum
easy.
seal too.
Sarah's just doing a screenshot and I'm holding it up for her.
Okay, cool.
Got it.
Sorry.
And that's right, Jane. You can actually, these are actually oven safe, so you can actually put them in the oven. So you could do crumble in that. So now tonight, on the recipe, it does say parsnip, beetroot, and sweet potato. I'm actually just doing potato and sweet potato. You can do carrot, you can do any root vegetables, really. So what we're going to do is we're weighing all those in, which I've already done. And then we're going to insert the cutter. Now, obviously the cutter has two sides. It's got a peeling side, a slicing side, and a grating side. So we're going to use the grating side. Now the recipe does say thick slice, but I tend to find when I make these, I like the thin slice better. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So we just virtually, all we do is we pop them in. I'm going to do sweet potato first. And the thing I love about this is it's super quick. So we're just going to do thin and this one. And then I'm going to pop the potato in. So it goes through each instructions to do it. So I'm just going to do the potato now. I'm sure they'd be really lovely with beetroot. I haven't tried them with beetroot. Who loves beetroot? Yep. It's very good for your liver.
A great detoxifier. Beetroot, sweet potato, carrot. I'd be throwing in these rosties.
Linda, I make beetroot ones. They're really nice, and I do them with dill, serve them with sour cream or creme fraiche, and a little bit of horseradish sometimes, and smoked salmon. They're just beautiful.
Yum. Now, a tip that I have done for myself, so because I've actually had a few customers who have contacted me because they've actually did a little whoopsie with their shaft and they forget to take it out, which it happens to the best of us. So I have trained my brain, because you can train your brain. So as soon as I get my bowl out, I will get this out and put it aside. So ever since I've got my cutter, I've done that, and I tell my customers to do that because we don't want any shredded shafts. So now that is the consistency of, can you see that? That's the consistency of the thin. Can you see that okay? Yep. And so the thing I love about that, that's all in the bowl there. My bowl is clean now to actually start the next step of the recipe. Now this is super quick. So all we do is we get 2 garlic cloves. I love, I don't think I ever chop onion or garlic apart from using my Thermomix now. I've just got to get my lid. It's super quick. So it's just 2 garlic cloves. As Anne said, you can actually put other spices if you like and other herbs. I'm just going to do a bit of garlic, salt and pepper in these because I'll just warm these up for breakfast in the morning with a poached egg on top for my kids for breakfast. Now we just scrape it down with a spatula, and I'll just show you just quickly what the garlic, for those who haven't done garlic in their Thermi, that's how small garlic does. And it's great, it's really fine, great for garlic breads and things like that, just to get that really fine. I've never been able to crush it as well as the Thermomix does it. And then we're just going to put 2 eggs in. So I've got 2 eggs there. And then it is 70 grams of plain flour. Now I make these gluten-free. So so I just swap it out straight swap for gluten-free. My gluten-free flour does have xanthan gum in it. So any gluten-freeers out there, if you don't have xanthan gum, just add a tiny bit. It just helps hold everything together. And then we're going to do a bit of salt and pepper. So it does say 1 to 2 teaspoons, but I will just use my grinder because I find that a little bit easier. Then we put the lid back on, and this is going to give this a really good stir. So that goes for 20 seconds. So who loves this is really good. I went out to a really nice in Bendigo, from Bendigo, we went to Lakeview and the other day, and we got the veggie stack, and they had it on one of a potato rosti, and it was delicious. So you could even do that. You could do like your cooked mushroom. You could do this. It'd be delicious. Make up a bit of a pesto. I'm very tempted after seeing how nice it was the other day. Now this is kind of makes, obviously it makes a bit of a batter. So you can see that it just makes a bit of a batter there. The flours are stuck inside a little bit, but that's okay. And then the next thing you do is you just pop all your grated vegetables in.
How good would a poached egg be on a couple of these rosties?
Yeah, that's what my kids are having for breakfast, Sarah. And the thing I love about that was that Sarah that said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't watching. The thing I love about this is what I do now is I just give that a quick rinse and then just leave it to dry. So, or homemade hollandaise, but it would be nice too. My kids love it with my homemade mayo as well. That's what they had it with tonight, homemade mayo. They put homemade mayo on everything. Then while that's doing that, we'll just get our tray. So once again, I've just got a nice rose gold tray from the mix shop and these liners. So these are great instead of baking paper, and obviously better for the environment. And I use them all the time. I don't actually use baking paper for my trays anymore. Then that's what it comes up like. You can see that, okay? It's a bit of a mushy mess. So, and then I'm going to get a spoon. Now, in the sandwich press, I just pop these on the flat sandwich press and just cook them. It takes a couple of minutes. In the oven, what we're going to do is I'm going to put these on a tray and they bake up, crisp up. So they're a little bit more crispy. And they will take 10 to 15 minutes on one side, and then you turn them over and just do the other side as well. So I'm going to just quickly do this. You don't have to watch me put them in the oven, but I'll be able to show you at the end. So I'm just going to flatten them down a little bit like that. So that's my rosties there. I'm going to pop them in the oven and then we'll come back and I'll show you what they like.
Thanks, Lyndall. We might jump across to Jane and she can get her chicken started for her salad.
Fantastic.
They look so good, Lyndall. And I'd love that if you were putting beetroot in and using your cutter, you don't have to get it all over your hands. It's fantastic.
Another thing from the mix shop without getting your hands dirty is I always use my peeler, Jane, for peeling my beetroot.
Yep.
So, because, yeah, don't have to.
It is a host reward.
It is a host
Yeah.
reward.
We'll do that bit after. I also just wanted to jump in with the French theme and the Olympics and things. I used my cutter today and I've used my vacuum seal container to put in half of our load of the potato dafoie. Someone jump in and help me here. I've been trying to practice and Sarah just needs to do it for me. Dauphinoise, which I still thought was cheese. But anyway, going with our French theme over with the Olympics, I've just put that in there and I'm going to pop that in the oven as well so we can see that at the end of the day. I use the cutter to grate the cheese, which gives you just that different texture than just cutting it in your Thermomix bowl, and then did all of the potatoes sliced just in a thin one. So I'll whack that in the oven and I'm going to start a different one as well. I loved using that vacuum sealer because it actually allowed me to then split it into 2 different serves so that I made some, cooked some for dinner tonight, and then I've still got some that I'll be able to have for tomorrow night. What I'm going to show you is something a bit different for me. It's a new one, but I wanted to try something new on Cookie Doo with the cutter, but very similar to some other things I've done. So I'm going to start with the Vietnamese style chicken and cabbage salad using the cutter. So again, it's got a couple of bits to do first. Obviously make this up. If you are allergic to peanuts or anything, leave them out or substitute something else. We're going to put some peanuts in and just chop them up. This is a lovely fresh one. For the contrast, I will pop the recipe in the chat when I pause in a second. Again, how easy to crush up your nuts and mill your nuts and things. Such a good money saver with your Thermomix. You can then keep doing that into your nut butters and things. Type in the chat what everyone likes to do with that. We'll just put them into a bowl for later. Does anyone make peanut butter or any nut butters in your Thermi?
Vera's put in the chat that I'm taking it that it's in relation to popping the Rosties in a sandwich maker, that she thinks that's a very good idea. Nut butters, cashew butter, yum, hazelnut butter. You want your hazelnuts in your Thermomix because then you can make your own Nutella. It's far nicer to make your own chopped hazelnut spread in your Thermomix than it is.
What about the hazelnut praline from last night, from the other night, Sarah?
Yes, which can also be found in the new winter magazine.
Yes.
Type in the chat if you've got a copy of that magazine. And if you have, what have you made from it? Have you cooked anything out of the magazine yet?
So we are, for the salad, we are doing the dressing part first. I did the nuts for the topping. I've just done 2 cloves of garlic and chopped them up. And then we are adding, so because I did prep earlier, I used my really lovely mixing bowls. They come in a set of 3 different sizes from the mix shop. And I love them when I do need to do bits or keep batter in because they have a lid as well. So in there that I'm going to pour in is some water, some fish sauce, some lime juice, which smells divine, and some sugar. Just going to get that sugar that sat down the bottom. This does a lovely Vietnamese style dressing. And it's quick and it's fresh and delicious. Okay, let's mix that one up. It's just going to mix for 30 seconds.
The magazines are actually $12.99 for those people who are wanting to know. And as Sarah said, you can get them Coles, Woolies, or the mix shop. So make sure you add your consultant when you check out, though.
Also, newsagents, Kmart, any of those sorts of places where you normally buy your standard magazines from. Consultants also, we normally have some. So if you can't find them in your local store, reach out to your consultant and see if they've got a copy. There is a sneaky mix shop voucher inside your magazine. So if you've got one and you haven't found that yet, read it better from cover to cover and find yourself your mix shop voucher that is hiding in your magazine.
There's also some great competitions in there too for cooking the cover and and you showed the page. You're helpful. I can't help it. It's good to be helpful. Okay.
I'm wondering if that discount could be used on the cutter if you're buying a cutter.
From how it reads, it's what's advertised in the magazine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
It's pretty hard angle to get my dressing shown to you, but I promise it's all in there. I'm just going to transfer that back into the bowl. Goodness out. And we're going to add 500 grams of water in. I'm not going to bother to wash it because I am just steaming my chicken in here.
All those
of course, if you haven't
come up through your chicken.
Yeah. Obviously, too, you don't always need to stand here like I am and watching my scales. You can actually look in your measurements within your bowl. You know, you've got your half a litre, litre and a half and 2. We're going to put our simmering basket in. This is just a different way of cooking your chicken if you're not going to do it in your Varoma or somewhere. And then I have some chicken breasts. Actually quite, just trying to get my spatula so I can get, they're actually, I've chosen to keep these in quite large pieces tonight. I'll be able to show you better when they come out, just so that I can actually slice them up. You could also obviously do them diced up if you wanted to. And the other option for this is you could always shred them at the end as well. But that's in, ready to go. So my chicken is on, which means I am going to hand over to someone else.
So that's got
My
15
potatoes are in the oven.
The potatoes
got
in the oven. Linda, would you like to make the dressing that goes with the Rosties, or would you like to do the cutter cucumbers for your pickle?
I'm actually not going to do the dressing tonight, Sarah, because we probably won't eat it.
Oh, yes, it's dairy. Yes,
it's dairy. So, but what I, as I said, I'm going to do a poached egg on it tomorrow for breakfast. But as I said, my kids had the cooked mayonnaise. And just a little tip with the cooked mayonnaise is I add a teaspoon of honey and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard to my mayonnaise, and it's beautiful. Do you want me to do my the other cucumber?
Yeah, go if you like.
Okay, cool.
It's delicious.
So the other thing we like in our house, and it's not everyone's thing, but we like it, is a cucumber relish like pickles. So I'm going to get back to my week so I can see what I'm cooking today. I actually love the meal planning, how you can do that function on your TM6. And this is a sweet cucumber pickle. Now, just to speed things up tonight, just because I know everyone's time's valuable, I've actually pre-made the pickling agent that goes in the jars. So that's just apple cider vinegar, water, some mustard seeds and some pepper. You can add chili if you want, but I will not do chili. The people who like chili in this house can have it later on their food. So eventually we're going to start cooking. So I've sterilised 2 jars. Now, just a tip, has anyone sterilised jars using their Varoma? Yep, Sarah has. And you can actually put your Varoma on top. You can sterilise your jars, which is great. Baby bottles, dummies, everything, you can sterilize it, so it's really good. Now then you have to weigh your cucumbers. They say weigh it. I don't think you need to weigh it. You just put them in. So now I've got it on the shaft that says slicing, which is the dark grey side. And I'm going to, as easy as this, I'm going to put them in. And what's it done there? Well, this is a bit of a different, I normally don't follow a recipe for this one, but I'm following the recipe tonight. So it says, place the cutter and you start slicing on 4. It does it for a minute. So this is a bit of a different one. But anyway, it's all right.
Anne-Marie, thanks for your comment in the chat about the screen. Can you either just come off mute to explain to me which screen you were talking about, or just send me another message in the chat so I can clarify that for you to give you that information?
I just couldn't see where Lyndall went when she started to prepare that recipe, like what
into the my week part.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Sorry. Yeah. Have you done a bit of a demo with your consultant?
No, she went away on holidays when mine arrived.
Okay. So what you need to do is reach out to her. What you need to do is you need to, I'll talk you through it though. So you go to your little house, your house button on your screen. Yep. Yep, which always takes you back to home. So that's your 3 dial, your 3 kind of dials, which has got your time, your temperature and your speed you cut at. Yep. Yep. Then what you need to do is you need to go in the top left-hand corner, there's 3 lines. Yeah. And that will take you to a page that says my recipes, my week, recently cooked settings.
Okay. Yep. I was wondering how you got there.
And then you go to my week. Okay. So on my phone, the best thing to do is get on your phone and get the app on your phone.
Yeah. I do it all through my phone. I didn't realise I could look at it on the Thermi.
Yeah. And so what you do is then you just go cook today, and then it'll go talk straight to your machine or go to your machine. And then when you come up, you can do you cook today. So that's what I've done. Yep. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yep. And make sure you get onto your consultant and get them to do that delivery when they get back.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, they're full of amazing tips. Aren't we, girls? So we'll go back. Now, the other tip is that I've got out of my recipe. So on my screen, it comes up with a little, you can't see it sadly, because of, you know, that's the thing about these demos, I guess. But there's a little green bookmark that will go straight back into where I was with my recipe. So you can actually get out, you can use your scales and things like that. Now, this is the cucumber. As you can see, it was actually quite good. So quite quick. So they're the thick slices, sorry. And all I'm going to do is I am going to just squish them. And I remember doing we did bottling days and to put in the good old, what was it called? The
cola.
Yep, the Fowler's jar outfit. And so we had, you know, bottling days. So this kind of takes me back a little bit in my childhood about doing this. So I was only if we had a TM6 and a cutter back then, it would have been a lot easier to do bottling. So I'm just going to pop it all in here. So you just squish as much as you can. I'm sure my mum would be very proud that I'm bottling things like this. And then all you do is you tip your vinegar mixture all the way up. And I'll pop my lid on, which I have put in a safe space. I'll find it in a minute. And then what you have to do is you've got to let that sit in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. And after 2 to 3 days, that should be done. Now, with the, I think they last in the fridge for about a month. I have to check the tips, but I think it's about a month. So yeah, so it's great for if you've got a cucumber that's actually looking like, okay, I need to use it so you're not wasting it. Just chop it up, pop it in some vinegar mixture, and then you've got your pickled cucumber. And it's so easy to do.
It's a really nice accompaniment for lots of meals. We'll put it beside a curry and mashed potato, like those sorts of things. Like it's just that really nice, fresh, yeah.
And there's also a sauce. Is it the Big Mac sauce, Anne, that you talk about?
Yeah.
That uses the pickled
Yeah.
cucumber?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, there's so many uses, and so it's awesome to have it in your fridge because there is so many uses for this, which, yeah, now that I know about it, I always have it in the fridge.
Right, so you've got your pickle done then. Jane's still got hers cooking away over in the background. So I might move on and show you yet another use for your cutter. So basically, I'm going to pop, and that is where I recommend you keep the shaft. Just store it, pop it inside the pusher. It's a weird name though. While it's called a pusher, you don't push on it. It just guides your fruit and vegetables, meat, cheese, etc. through. So don't actually put a heap of pressure on it. It's just there to stop your ingredients popping back out the top. So we're going to pop that one on and put our bucket in. I'm going to do some slicing. So yet again, whatever side you want to use is what you want facing up. So I have got that in there. I'm going to pop some radishes in because we're going to pop radishes inside our vegetable summer rolls because that's what I'm making. So I'm just going to put this on the fin. Doesn't take long at all. That's what I love. It is so snippety to just whip out a lot of ingredients. And what I like about this is it makes them wafer thin. So how is that for a beautiful, fine, thin radish? And then we've got all of these. So just going to get those out. Does anyone make rice paper rolls? If so, what sort of ingredients do you use? These are a vegetarian one, but you could also be poaching your chicken like Jane is at the moment. And then you might just pop it back into your Thermomix on reverse, speed 4, you can shred that.
So
chicken.
Sarah, how much do you reckon it would cost to make one rice paper roll? Just out of interest, this is where the Thermomix can save you money, and it does say that you can actually save about what $200 in a month, was it, with your Thermi? So I went
easily.
easily. So I went to this. I was out in Melbourne for the weekend. And we went to a food court, and I thought I just felt like some rice paper rolls. So we brought 2 rice paper rolls for $10.90 for 2. And I'm like, wow, I could make these so much cheaper. So I reckon, Sarah, you could probably make it cheaper than $5, don't you reckon?
Oh, I can make the entire batch for $5, $6. The recipe says it makes 8. That's a fallacy. You get, I think, 16 the last time I made a batch. And it depends if you're popping other ingredients and things is there as well, as to how well they round out. So, and I've just now popped in some cabbage, which I just popped in that size. So when you're cutting your cabbage, if you lay the flat side on the bench and then just cut them sort of like in 2 finger widths, if that makes sense. And then you get your cabbage is lovely and super fine like that. So I'm going to keep going with some more of that. I've just got the end of the radish was popped in the way. So let's keep going. You don't need to turn it off either. You can just keep feeding things in the chute. And so then there is all your cabbage. So it makes a little go a really long way. Like I bought a half of a red cabbage and I would not have used a quarter of the half. So, you know, then I'll be able to turn around and use the rest of that cabbage to make some pork dumplings, pork and cabbage dumplings, which will be delicious. So that's the cabbage. That gives you an idea of what that looks like. So we're still slicing, so I'm going to leave the blade in, but this time I'm going to use the thick. So I'm just going to move along in the recipe because it tells you which one to do, but we make it that often. I just whiz through it on the same setting. So I've got our capsicum that I've just cut into big long strips, and we're going to put this through on the thick. As you can hear, it doesn't take long for stuff to zip down the chute. And then there is the capsicum. So lovely thick slices of your capsicum. Just pop that out. Now we're going to use the grater side because we're going to do some carrot, and I want that nice and thin. I'll just turn over the blade. So that's now facing upright. And I don't worry about rinsing in the bowl because everything's just going to go into your dish anyway. So I'm not worried. So the carrots, you can put them in multiple ways, but I'm going to put them in sideways. If it wants to roll over for me. So I've just got 3 pieces of the carrot sideways in there, and we're going to do this on the thin. And then there is your carrot, thinly shredded. So, you know, how long would this take you to do by hand? Like, it's so super quick and easy to do. And that was literally one carrot. I'm just going to give this bench a bit of a wipe down.
Vera, in answer to your question in relation to Sarah, she was just asking about is it best to load the chute and turn on the cutter? In relation to loading it
off with an ingredient, yeah, I stop it, especially if you want something to be facing a particular way. Like with those radishes, I wanted to make sure they were flat so that you got the disc with the pretty pink on the outside, because when you're making these, that's going to form a really nice pretty layer within your rice paper roll. The carrots, I wanted nice long bits of the carrot, so I put it sideways. If you were wanting rounds, you're going to make sure you want it to stay upright. Otherwise, if you're doing potatoes, etc., for potato bakes or veggie bakes, you can just turn that on and then just keep feeding your chute. The bucket itself will hold up to 800 grams of potato. So to give you an idea, you can't squeeze a kilo of potatoes in there. So 800 grams roughly at a time is what you're doing. So shaft out and then straight back into the narrow part of your pusher is where it lifts. So now I'm going to make the dressing. So I've got 90 grams of water, which I want to warm up. So we're going to pop that on for 1:30. So what I did earlier was popped water in the Thermomix and I put the kettle mode on. So I brought that water to the boil and then I covered our 70 grams of vermicelli noodles with some water, the boiling water. You just let that sit for 10 minutes. So does everyone know where the timer is on their Thermomix screen? Love you to type in the chat if you use the timer. If you're like me and your phone's constantly on the go slow, it's flat, it's not where you want it, there is a little arrow in the middle on the top of your screen. You touch that and then the timer option comes up there. You touch it, you can set a time, you turn it on, and that timer, I've just set it for a minute. Hopefully you'll get to hear the sound. It does sound different than your actual finish chime. So it's really good. And it will work in the background. So you could be using your Thermomix for a recipe and still going through, or you might have popped your biscuits in the oven and you're now turning your Thermomix on to make something else. The timer works independently of whatever other recipe you have going on. So it's a fabulous tool to use. So you literally sift your vermicelli noodles in your boiling water to soak for 10 minutes. Then you drain them off and then you rinse them under cold water and you just drizzle a tablespoon of olive oil over the top so that they don't stick together and they cool down. So then to your water, you're going to add your gochujang paste. So it's just 30 grams and I'll show you what that looks like in the supermarket. Oh, can you hear that? Can you hear that one, Em?
Yep, we can hear that, Sarah.
So that's your timer and a little box pops up over the top. You can just touch it and then that goes away. So we want 90 grams of soy sauce. If you're gluten-free, you can make sure you buy a gluten-free tamari. I'm out of soy sauce in general here at this house at the minute because I've used it every day for the last week, making nasi goreng and all sorts of stuff. So I've just used ketchup nanas, which is a sweet soy sauce. It wants 30 grams of caster sugar. I just use raw sugar. So in it goes. We're going to pop our lid on. And this is going to mix for 5 seconds. But gochujang paste looks like that. You find it in the Asian section of the supermarket, lives in your cupboard until you open it, then you pop it in the fridge. To give you an idea, there's enough there to make several batches of this sauce. It's a really nice punchy flavour. So you can pop it in other things that you're cooking if you like as well. So then we have our beautiful dressing. This one keeps really well. So you can pop it into little containers. You can pop this into lunch boxes. It's a really good one. So then I'm just going to pop a little bit of warm water in another bowl because we need to soften our rice paper up to use them. So let me pop that in there. And then we will show you assembling your rice paper rolls. If you're making these in advance, you can definitely make these the day before. They keep really well. You can take them to a picnic the next day. I always put baking paper between them so they don't stick together. So then you've got lovely individuals that you can dip, because once they stick, you are then trying to hold them all together. You can just imagine, Anne, your face laughing there said exactly what you would picture. So
yeah, you end up with one sort of a whole bunch of them stuck together. I only did that once.
rolls come in lots of different style packets. You can get these in the Asian section of the supermarket. Obviously, if you've got a little Asian food store near you, they'll be cheaper than buying them at the supermarket as well. But they literally come like a little piece of cardboard almost. And you just pop them into your plate because you just want to soften them up. So depending what size bowl you've got, you just want to soften them up a little. They don't take long. My bowl isn't big enough, so I just rotate them around for a little bit. Your bread mat is a really good one to use for this then, because then you just sit them down on your bread mat and you start layering them up. So I'm just going to put a mixture of lettuce leaves. I'm going to put some of our cabbage. I'm going to put some of our rice noodles. I'm going to put some of our carrot. Some bean shoots. And obviously you can just pop in whatever you like. I've got our capsicum. I've got some mint leaves. Some coriander. I love fresh herbs in ours. Then I'm going to start the rolling process. So I tuck the sides in and then give it a bit of an over tuck. And you want them nice and tight. So stuff it in. But then you slide your radish pieces in just along the top so that they're tucked in on your final over layer. And then there you have your little rice paper rolls that you can then have. So I'm going to keep rolling away if you want to watch me in the background, but we will switch across to Jane, who is going to finish off her salad.
Excellent. My chicken has finished. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that your little hook on your spatula is a great way and the best way for getting your simmering basket out. You just hook that into the side. I'm just going to open up my lid first so that I can get that out. I have emptied my bowl already, but you can hopefully see those pieces of chicken there. And as I said, you could then put that into your Thermomix bowl and on reverse speed 4 and shred it if you wanted finer chicken in this salad, or I'm just going to slice them up. So I did leave them bigger this time. I've emptied the...
How long? Is it about like 2-3 seconds, isn't it? To shred?
Oh, yeah, I do it. Yeah, about 4
Yeah, so it's
That's
not long.
nothing. It's the most super quick thing to do.
I do it with my leftover corned beef.
Oh, yes, that's a great one. And I just wanted to remind, I'm going on to, even though we're using the cutter in some recipes tonight, remember you can use this with your TM5 as well. You don't have to always have your TM6 to get it. And if you're wanting to use it manually to do vegetable bake or to do pizza toppings or just to get a whole lot of stuff ready for your sandwiches and wraps and things for the day, you can also use it straight in your modes and not with the recipe. So I just wanted to remind everyone of that. I have done my weighing out of my other parts of the salad, so I'm just going to go past where I'm weighing everything into a large bowl. Shaft is going in over your blades, just over the top like everyone had. It just locks it in place.
I reckon, Jane, is there's only one way it fits.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't get it wrong. You're going to put basket in, and then I am going to do the grating side first. So again, like everyone said tonight, there's the light side and the dark side, or side 1 and side 2, and it does tell you up the top. It's very hard to see on the camera, but so we are going to grate first. Sarah did some of the really nice fine grating of the carrot. I'm going to do mine a little bit larger. So I've got side 2 facing up. You can put this either direction to you, but just for ease of comfort, we all sit it at the front because then we can reach nice and easily. And off we go with all of our beautiful salad ingredients. So I'm going to start with our carrot. I'm just going to put it in long ways. Just get the end off it. If you had a really thin one, you could put it in the side, the tube. So I love to, I don't know if anyone's noticed now, they've actually started to put some videos with the cutter on as well. So this is one of the recipes that actually has the video on if you needed that. And we're going to turn that to thick.
And on your main screen too, if you scroll down on your cookie dough screen on your machine, there's actually a cutter video there. So if you wanted to show your friends and think, hey, I want to do a demo, let's do a demo. This is what you get with Thermomix, because you can get one with Thermomix at the moment as a free gift. You can show them your Thermomix and show them the little video and then reach out to your consultant.
So that's just the carrot done. That's a thick grate. And I just did it straight down. As Sarah said, depending on the orientation of how you put your food will depend on how it comes out. I'm actually going to turn, we've done my grating. I'm going to turn it around the other side and we're going to do some slicing. I'm just leaving the carrot in there at the moment because I've got plenty of room still in there. So we've now got side 1 side up. I'm going to put my onion in. So I've just got some red onion. Again, you just want things in the size of that feeder so that it goes through the chute without it actually getting stuck and without you needing to push that in. We're going to do some thin on it. And I love the fact that my bowl's still ready to use after, or as I did for mine, I actually used it before, so it's ready. Anne-Marie just asked in there, are there any fruits and vegetables not suited to the cutter? We have given it a pretty good try with lots of different options, from everything to pineapple to your avocados and things like that, and your tomatoes. I think having a firmer vegetable, so the tomato that's been in the back of the fridge doesn't cut as well, but it definitely can do all of those different things. It's probably easier to ask me some of the options and then we can say what we've tried, because we've done a lot, haven't we, Sarah, with all of the different things. I've just got some red cabbage that I'm putting in now.
I think when we first got them January last year, what Jane said's correct. We shoved absolutely everything down the neck of the cutter.
We did strawberries, we did kiwi fruit, we did lots of different types of veggies.
Limes, cabana.
Cheeses.
Yeah, all your cheeses.
I'm just going to do some white cabbage now. So at the moment in here, you can see I've got my carrot in there that I've grated. I've got my onion, which I did really thin slices. So I'll just get that together. You can see that difference in, it's hard to even hold up. It's so beautiful and paper thin. And then the cabbage has just done that. The way that I put it in, it still slices that, and that's on the thicker one. But there's plenty of room still in there, so I'll just keep going ahead and doing my white cabbage.
For those who've got a
do that.
cutter while Jane's doing that, put in the put something you've tried in the cutter if you've got a cutter at home. What have you tried to chop in the cutter?
Mushrooms work really well too. You'd think they're something that's squished, but they work really well.
The
Especially
mushrooms
doing a
work.
mushroom risotto.
Even on the super fine, the mushrooms, you're just blown away with how ridiculously well they slice, both thin and thick. Also, if you're wanting to put those into your dumplings or things like that, you're going to hide it in a bit of bolognese. You can shove that through on the grate. It works really well for those. If you like nectarines, there is a really beautiful tart using peaches and nectarines where you're slicing those and you pop it on some puff pastry and you make a beautiful dressing. That's really nice. What have you got there, Jane?
And Yvonne said even doing grating the eggs for egg sandwiches, egg and lettuce sandwiches, gives it a really nice texture. So that's great, Yvonne. I haven't done that one. It's a good tip. So now I've got grated carrot, thickly sliced white cabbage, thickly sliced red cabbage, and thinly sliced red onion, which I'm just going to tip back into my medium-sized mixing bowl that I had out before, just to mix all of that up.
Vera just asked in relation to, she said she tried to grate mozzarella. It wasn't that successful. Does it need to be frozen? I've never tried mozzarella. Has anyone else tried doing cheese? Does it have to be frozen?
Part freeze it. Just chuck it in there for 5 minutes. You just want to firm it up a bit.
Yep. Okay. And someone, Veronica, is just asking, saying that should like to know if a recipe calls for a certain quality of veg, whether you can measure it in the cutter or do you need to measure it separately?
No, you can use the scales at any time within the recipe. If you're using a guided recipe, like when you've got your cutter step on, it will still give you, if I bring back up one of the cutter ones.
Most importantly, taking the bowl out, take your shaft out.
So, if we unplug that, get you over here. Can you see if I get rid of the chat box?
Maybe just change the brightness on
Yeah,
the screen, Sarah, for us.
Righto, there, that's all you need to see. Let me.
So you can see the greater picture, but not the circle around it.
Yeah, we don't need to see that. I'm just trying to get rid of the chat box so I can see what's in the screen. So see how you've got your green next button up here and it's got your thin thick. If the recipe said you wanted 200 of cabbage, for example, you can touch the 3 little dots, select your scales will pop up, weigh your ingredients in, close it off with the cross, and then come back and do your step. But the majority of the recipes that need you to weigh anything actually get you to weigh your ingredients at the start of the recipe into bowls, and then they sit aside. So when you get to the cutter stage, it's actually then just stepping you through the actual grating or slicing of your ingredients. Does that make sense? So it's sort of like it's wanting grated puns and partway through the recipe, but it's making it more seamless for you. So it actually has that as part of the steps through. But if you didn't, because you went, I'm in a bit of a hurry and I'm just going to whack that stuff aside and get through the recipe, you can. Just touch the 3 little dots beside your next button and bring up the scales.
So
And you
I'm
can
just
do that in any recipe. So you'll be able to find that in any recipe. Yep.
Yep, any recipe.
I've
Because
just
a
lost
recipe might ask
I'm
for
sorry.
2 tablespoons of milk. Well, that's just 40 grams because a tablespoon is 20 grams of liquid. So you can just bring up your scales and go, I'm not dirtying a tablespoon ever again. And you can just pour it in. So you can do that with any of your ingredients.
Saves on your washing up too.
Yep.
I've just sliced up my chicken. I'm going to add that to my bowl as well. As I said, you could make this thinner. Going to put in some fresh mint. I'm going to leave them big and chunky. Just wants us to mix it through with the spatula. I'm going to just add my dressing to it as well from my bowl.
This would be a great one for lunches, wouldn't it, Jane?
Yeah, and a really good one again. The flavors will just keep developing. Once I finish with some of my, I need to invest in some more vacuum seal containers from the mix shop because it'd be a great one to put in and keep in there. But I used it for my potato tonight, so that's ready. I'll pour my dressing over the top.
And the good thing about putting them in the vac seal containers, I'll just get them now. Yeah, they actually have a grill tray down the bottom of the vac seal. So we'll pop your salad in, but your dressing will go down to the bottom. So your salad's all not sitting in the dressing, so it won't go soggy. So it's great for like when you do your coleslaws and when you do your salads because it will stay fresh and not go soggy. That's what I found anyway.
I am going to actually divide that up onto a plate to make it look a little bit nicer there, but that's all mixed in. We'll put some nuts and things on top. I will also just check the potato in the oven. And yours looks like you're out on the bench cooling, so would you like to jump in while I check my oven?
Sure. So I've made 2 in the containers, a small one and a bigger one. Now, normally I would make that and it would serve 6 in a big container. I've also got leftover crumble. I think they might have diddled me on my apples. I don't know. So I've actually got enough to make another small one. And I wonder if I can lift this up. You know how that was, it was raised, but now it's shrunk down and nice and even, and you can put a lid on it and freeze it, or enjoy it. I think I'm going to keep one, give one away.
Jane, sorry, go Ian, sorry.
It's just so easy to do. It is so easy and cheap. It's really inexpensive to make, but an old-fashioned dessert that is so delicious. Go.
That's all right, Jane, can you just hold up some of your cabbage just so we can see how thin it actually slices? Is that okay?
Yep, I've got it all lovely mixed in. Okay, I'll get a piece of onion and a piece of cabbage, so you can kind of that's my onion.
Yep,
Work out how.
Yep,
that's a good option.
Yep.
Sorry, I can't work it. That's the onion. That's the cabbage, and that's on thick.
that's good.
So it
Thank you.
really, and plating is not my forte of things, but this salad is supposed to feed 4. It'd be for very hungry people. I think we could share it around a few more. And again, that cost saving of going and having this at a restaurant or somewhere versus making it and having it, really, if I didn't want to share, I could have it for lunch for over the whole week of work in put in my containers and off to go. Sorry, I missed that comment in the chat, so thank you for jumping in doing that. I'm going to chop up some chili. Again, leave it off if that's not something that you want on yours.
While you're doing that, Jane, I'm just going to show, there's the rice paper rolls. So really easy. These are some I've packaged up in a lunchbox container. So you can see I've got the baking paper between, so they stay nice and fresh. There's room at the end. I'll be able to pop one of the little small sauce little pots, but there's an easy to go lunch. So I've got 3 in there. I've got 3 here. So there's 6. I've still got half my vermicelli left. So how economical are these things to make? And when it comes to the sauce, I have these little containers. You'll get about 6 of these from the sauce that I've got in the little pot. More than enough. The sauce is divine. You will want to put this stuff on everything. You'll dip your sausage rolls in it, your spring rolls, your dumplings, your everything, because this sauce is absolutely delicious. But it's a really good one. So you can actually make them in your little serves, pop them into your lunch boxes. They're good to go. And, you know, there's 5 kids' lunches for the next day, and you've just saved yourself about $50 from buying that pre-made at the supermarket. So really, really good cost saver, and they're delicious. They're great to take to the beach or on a picnic. So definitely a good one to do.
Sarah, with the rice paper rolls, I wanted to make them, but I didn't have the rice vermicelli. I actually did zoodles. And that was really thin zoodles, and they were delicious. So anyone who just wants a bit more of a healthy option, not that rice paper noodles are that bad, but they were really yum.
But when it comes to, as you said, just making use of what you've got, I have popped Ho Chi Minh noodles in them before. So the big, you know, yellow egg noodles. They're also very filling. So, but when you want something and you have other ingredients and you can make things work, why not? You can totally put in slices of avocado or any of those sorts of things. You could use tin tuna. It's totally up to you what you're popping in these dishes. That's the whole point of Cookie Doo. It's a guide. They are called guided recipes for a reason. You can switch out ingredients for your allergy requirements, for your just taste and flavour profiles. Just because a recipe says garlic doesn't mean you need to add it. Whereas I'm going, what do you mean it doesn't have garlic? Let's chuck in 3 cloves. So it's all about making it to suit your own flavour profiles as well. And the recipe we've shared of Anne's today, with your Cookie Doo subscription, you can click on that recipe link, touch the little green button that says import to Cookie Doo, and bingo, here it is in your Cookie Doo on your Thermomix to add to your meal plan for the week or your ingredients to your shopping list. So how amazing is that for popping into your Thermomix? Sorry, Jane, back to you.
I just wanted to check that everyone was feeling comfortable if you had a TM5 as to how you're creating that thick versus thin, because as I said, we've used the modes on the TM6 or the recipe within Cookie Doo. So it's actually got the directions on your blade. So again, you don't have to remember everything, but you're just putting it on forwards if you're going to do a thick slice, and you're putting it on reverse if you're doing a thin, and same on the back. Thick is forward and reverse gives you that thin for the grating, just so everyone had that idea.
And it's speed 4, so
sorry, that was the main part.
Yeah, that's okay. Like the butterfly whisk, so you just have to think 4.
That's my effort of trying to plate up the salad. As I said, not my skills in plating them, and I will get the potatoes out of the oven.
Hold that back up for 2 seconds. Yeah, 2
seconds. Do it at the end.
I know.
And while you're doing that, while you're getting your potato out, I'll show the roasties if you like.
Beautiful. I was hoping yours would be out.
So they're the roasties, the rosties, whatever you call them. I've just done the homemade mayo on them. Really delicious. You can actually add more veggies to make them a little bit more veggie crispy. And these are the pickles. So you'll be able to see the difference between the 2 pickles in one. They go kind of almost transparent when they're almost ready. So the longer they sit, the more they soak up, the softer they get, the more delicious they are. So
That delicious flavour.
Uh,
Ooh, Jane. Yum.
hot, but lovely. So you can see how you can use that for the potato bakes or anything as well. Vegetable bakes, you add anything in it. Apparently it's more traditional in France not to put the cheese on top, but in our house, you've got to have cheese on it. So put the cheese on. We did to cut it down from a dairy point of view, use half cream, half milk, which is in the tips, just to make it less rich. With what
and if you want to make it dairy like we do in our house, Jane, I just use, you can actually buy Flora cream. I can show people or reach out if you need from the Woolies. Also you can do coconut cream. And if you don't want cheese on top, we just do a little sweet paprika on top.
nice.
That's quite nice as well.
Yum. A bit of spring onion. Yum.
Yep.
Bacon. Can't go past bacon on a bit of a
Bacon. Yeah.
So we have been through a few of the host rewards and things tonight. As Lyndall reminded everyone, when you do purchase your TM6 at the moment until the 12th of August, your gift with purchase is a cutter. But if you're going to host and have other people over, you also get the opportunity to get the cutter as a host reward. The vacuum containers, which we've been showing you, are also the host reward option. The blade cover peeler that we mentioned before is also one of your host reward options. Lyndall's got the array of thermoserves that you can always add to your collection because nobody ever has too many thermoserves as far as we're concerned. You can have it for hot, cold and everything else. And Anne's displaying our lovely toolkit. Sarah's used the baking mat in the background. And I think we've all used Cookie Doo tonight too. And you can get your Cookie Doo subscription, which is a great way to connect that on as well. Any questions from everyone though? Jump off mute. I think we've kind of started to present all of those.
Or anything that you think you're inspired to cook from what we've done tonight. We always love to hear that we've inspired people. So if there's anything you think you're going to give it a go, just would love to hear.
Yeah, we definitely would love to hear what is the favourite thing you've sort of seen tonight that you'd like to make. Hopefully we've shown you a wide variety of things that you can make in your Thermomix using the cutter. It's not really just for slicing and, you know, a potato bake and then that's it. There's so much more to it than that. So hopefully you've picked up lots of tips and hints. Also too, we will say for storing your cutter, not that mine's absolutely filthy at the minute, but obviously you'd pull it apart and wash it. But you've got your bucket. You would put your guide, so the pusher, inside. You pop your shaft in the little side, and then you flip it over. So then look at Anne's lovely clean version. You sit it in so it takes up less space in your cupboard, just popped in like this. So Anne has her shaft sitting in the bottom. That's another way. I pop it in there. You don't lose it that way. You get in the habit of putting it back inside the pusher. It's a lot easier to keep track of where it is.
Good idea, Sarah.
Anyone got any questions?
So Veronica had mayo recipe. Should love the recipe. I just use the cooked mayo on Cookie Doo. I was just I was don't know whether Jane or Sarah can pop that up because
I can put that up.
Video open. That's all.
If I paste
and yes, the cutter is. I'll do the recipe. If you can do the question around the cutter, it can go in your
everything for
dishwasher.
Thermomix is yeah, that's the one, Anne. So I just do a little bit of honey and a little bit of Dijon mustard just to give it a bit of oomph. It's good. And I actually use rice bran oil, or you can use a grapeseed oil, just a really low flavored oil, which is the key to making a really good mayo.
Don't use olive oil. And I always crush up a little bit of garlic in mine. It doesn't taste garlicky, but it just takes away the oil flavor. And
just make sure you really pour it slowly because it's really easy to make, but if you follow the recipe, but you can't rush the pouring of the oil unless it will split. Yes, and everything from Thermomix apart from the base of your machine can go straight into the dishwasher. So that's very handy because you can just you know, in the little video from the cutter, it takes the blades right out and pops them in the dishwasher. I kind of just give them a rinse, but yeah, definitely can go in the dishwasher.
So I've just put the link for the cooked mayo in there as well.
Thanks, Jane.
Anyone that needed that?
Vera's going to try the apple crumble and the veggie rusty in the oven.
Otherwise, that's our cutter cooking class from Team Elevate. Thank you very much for joining us. As I said, we showed the vegetarian summer rolls and fabulous version on an apple crumble. Lyndall did the vegetable rosties and a beautiful cucumber pickle. And Jane showed us the potato dauphinoise and also the beautiful chicken salad. So hopefully you've picked up plenty of tips and tricks from tonight. We're going to stop the recording there. But otherwise, thank you for coming along.